property we have, the less availability of something, then at some point the price is going to start to inch up. And that's what thankfully we're beginning to see. We're beginning to see a stabilization in our market. And I always want to remind people, real estate is very localized. So one part of even our community could be doing very well, and another pocket could be not doing so well. So don't take everything as, oh, it is X, Y, or Z. You have to look at where you live, or where you wish to live, or where your friends are and they wish to live, and then examine that area. And so we see that different areas of our community, but on the whole, if you were to ask me, I'd say not only are we stable, we've bounced along the bottom, and I think we're now starting to bounce up. We're going to go down a little. Always when we hit our low season is September and October. We're going to hit some lower spots, but we see that our properties are now I know this isn't a major number, but we're now 1 day less time average on the market. Okay, now that's not a big deal, but out of 6,000 pieces of property, we're now 1 day less on the market. The difference between what is being asked and the final sale price, that percentage has gone down. So all of our indicators are finally saying that Florida is, in our marketplace, we're starting to stabilize and move forward. So those are good things. So those are numbers. I wanted to bring those to you this evening because you asked me. And I always like to let people know what I think is really happening in our marketplace.
And I went to the counties. I don't know if you ever go to that, the economic update.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
yes.
And actually they were saying the same thing. In fact, I can give a personal testimony in terms of what we've been seeing in Pelican Bay in our little subdivision, Palma del Sol, that people have actually been getting the asking price.
Yay.
Which is beyond what we would say, given what we know about, what homes are selling for.
That's
but
that
these are
location
yeah.
issue.
But what's happening is that people are not. Those buyers are coming from somewhere else where the prices were higher, and they're looking at what they're getting and they're thinking, oh, this isn't bad. So they're paying the asking price. So people are actually able to. Now that's not back to maybe 250,000, but a home that in actuality should be selling for maybe about 120 or something is selling for close to 160. So they're doing pretty well when you think about it. And this isn't just one home. This is there have been about 3 that have sold in our area that have been on the market for not quite a year, but for more than 6 months, and they actually are doing well. They're doing well. In fact, the people have been able to sell those properties, and then they've been able to go off and buy other properties. So things are on the uptick.
Right.
And I agree with you. We're not going to see, for anybody who is living in fantasy land, who thinks that their properties that they were pricing at $350 or so plus for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever, or even 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, when you were getting that you will not see again for a long time, if ever. Because that was really stuff being priced out of the market.
That was really inflation and not appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And we were a victim of the inflated market because we had so many investors. So we were a result of the inflation market, like so many of the other target markets, Phoenix, Las Vegas. There were a number of markets also in California. And they were all major result of inflation, not appreciation. If you look historically at property and the ownership of property since the turn of the century, we have consistently looked at property going up because it has appreciated. And it's been a very slow appreciation. Our average appreciation prior to our boom in our county was about 3.5% to 4%. So people could say, gee, after 8 to 10 years, I have increased the value of the property because of appreciation. When inflation came along and people suddenly said their house went up 70%, 60% in a year, that's when the bells should have gone off going ding, 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 ding. But unfortunately, as I think you mentioned a little earlier, sometimes we don't see the forest for the trees. And we made some bad decisions. And as a result, we are now living with those decisions. We are not the only ones. It is much of the United States, but a lot of the United States didn't get hit by this. So again, real estate is local, and you have to look at where your market is. But as you said, we have all, for the most part, experienced a loss in value in our properties.
Mm-hmm. And in some areas more so than others,
Yes.
and to our property appraiser's credit, you know, Morgan Gilreath, the man is a genius.
He does an
You can say what you
incredible job.
wanna, but he is a genius, and you know, there are people who say, well, he shouldn't be mailing in this. Yes, he should, because the same things that you're talking about that we were seeing in terms of the bubble, and he kept warning people out, this cannot last, it will not last. You know, that bubble is going to burst, and when it bursts, you know, you need to be ready for that, you know, happening, and you know, some people listened and some people didn't.
Right.
And municipalities that are dealing now with their budgets would have been much better off if they had listened, because he was saying, don't go spending all of that. You need to be setting more aside, because the bubble is going to burst. And basically what has happened in a lot of the areas, from what he has said too, is that you've got people who are, even though we haven't necessarily grown that much as a county in a lot of municipalities, but people are relocating. I mean, they're and some are moving out, but the few that are moving in are moving into the areas that they want to live and move into.
And it affects our taxes, because those properties that are being purchased are of a lower value financially, and as a result, our tax revenue is less. And so that's why all of our municipalities are struggling. It's because of the tax issue. So we all know that. So the more properties that we can put back on the books that are actually out there owned by individuals, the more opportunity we have to stabilize our governments. So that's one of the things that, when you and I were chatting earlier, that I thought was very exciting about this program for seniors. It allows seniors some flexibility that they have not had in the past. And that to me was a great boon for people who are perhaps in a home that's too large for them, or in the wrong location, or whatever. They can actually take advantage of this new reverse purchase mortgage program.
And tell us about that, because you know, we've heard about reverse mortgage. I've had guests on in the past who've talked about that. Share with us what the new program is, and you're calling it reverse purchase.
Reverse purchase.
As opposed to reverse mortgage, reverse purchase, and you know how it differs, and what the great opportunities are that are there for people who really want to take advantage of this.
Okay. Both of the programs, the reverse mortgage and the reverse purchase, are primarily for seniors, 62 years of age and older. So if you're not 62, maybe you know someone that is, and you can share this information. All right?
And what I found out about a reverse mortgage, for everyone who has their name on the ownership papers has to be that age, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Good point. So the reverse mortgage really allows someone to stay in their property and pull money out of their property. It's very much like a line of credit, an equity line of credit, we call it, that sort of thing. And basically what you're doing is you have had an agreement with the bank, and the bank is going to pay you on an agreed upon schedule. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, whatever. But what's happening is basically you're pulling money out of your existing home. And for some people that has some value. But what we were seeing, this is where Congress came in. This was a result of the federal stimulus program when we were having such a difficulty in our country. So there was an issue that, okay, we need to help seniors, because what we were seeing was that many seniors were in a home that was too large for them, or physically they couldn't get around. It had steps. It was a layout that was not convenient to them. Maybe they needed, some sort of mechanics to walk around with, or whatever. The yard was too large. Whatever it was, it's the existing home no longer fit their lifestyle needs. It could have been in a community where they no longer felt safe or comfortable, and they just needed an opportunity to move. Well, there was no program for this person. So what happened is, because most people at that age do not wish to have a mortgage payment, so they were saying, I've lost so much equity in my home, I now can't move, I'm stuck here, because I can't sell my home and buy something in a better situation for me. Whether it's because of lifestyle or location, I need to be closer to the children, I need to be closer to medical facilities, I needed to be closer to where emergency facilities could get to me. It really didn't matter. But whatever it was, there was no means for a senior to purchase something when they had lost so much equity in their property. So we were seeing seniors just sitting there and being in places that they couldn't work.